Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined by Jeff Torrey, and today we're going to get into our final rankings show for a few months. And it's going to be the tight ends, which a lot less to talk about. We're not going to go to 50 like we did wide receivers. We're not going to go 25. We're just going to, get you some of the main guys and go a little deeper. Some guys that could step up, but it really is kind of, once you get past the top, I can go to 10 even. After that, it's kind of like you're guessing. If you can say one of those guys is going to jump up, you really don't know it. You don't know what you're talking about. No one knows right now with tight ends. They're all kind of the same. They're going to have 60 catches, 600 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's kind of what I've seemed to figure out from really pouring into it. They're all about the same, but we'll go over who we think could break out of that group and who should be the top as we get going here. In the meantime, make sure you check us out on Twitter, the FF Prophet. We're on Instagram at fantasyfootballprophet. You can go to the website, fantasyfootballprophet.com, or send us an email, fantasyfootballprophet@gmail.com. Our review contest is ongoing. Again, check out the show notes. You can get all the info on that to get yourself a podcast for your league. The website will have all that information as well, so just kind of, if you want to get into the contest, check out all of those. So let's get right into it, Jeff. We're going to talk about some tight end rankings, and I think we probably have the same number one, but we're both probably hesitant on this one, actually, just because of injuries.
For injury.
And it's Gronkowski.
Yeah.
And he has to be number one. He's still his own tier.
Yeah.
Still.
I've seen it where people have dropped him down now.
Yeah, they're dropping him. They're only dropping him because of injuries. Yeah. That's it. They're not dropping him because of talent. If they say they're dropping him because there's too many weapons in New England, that's no. Yeah. Gronk's the number one weapon there always if he's healthy.
Yeah.
It's all about injury risk, but that's a big risk, and that's why I avoid Gronk.
He just come with a pretty hefty, price tag, and as he should, because when he is healthy, he could be easily. Actually, there's no it could be. He is the best weapon you have against whoever you're playing because he has the big discrepancy in points. So if you're playing Gronkowski and the next guy is playing a Delaney Walker, even, which is a good tight end, you have such an upper hand.
Yeah, you win that position every time.
Exactly. And that's why he was, before all the injuries started piling up, very, very highly drafted.
Yeah, and he is number one, obviously. But as I said, I have honestly, in all my years playing fantasy football that Gronk's been in the league, I've never had Gronkowski on my team. Not once. Because I go for the cheaper tight end route, and so Gronk's never one I get. I can see why he's number one, but for some reason, I'd never make the jump to get him. So I've never had him on my team, and I'm probably not going to have him on my team again this year.
I probably won't this year. I have had him on my team one time, but it was Dynasty. No, so obviously I went high for him because of that, but then he got hurt immediately. But I also had Kelsey because I got him when he was a rookie.
So that's the thing. Like, we're going to rank him number one because that's where he should be. But here's the problem with that. Like, we try to talk about our strategy and stuff. When you come to an auction league or even a snake, like, he's going to go at a higher price than what I think either of us are going to be comfortable with. I'm not comfortable paying. Honestly, I'm not comfortable paying for a tight end almost at all. No. And so I'm never going to get Gronk, and he's going to go way too early in a snake draft for me. So it's just not going to happen. And
I usually do not go high on tight end as well, but usually I'm feeling pretty comfortable with one of the guys I've done research on. Yep. And I've had very, very good success with that.
Yeah, you actually...
hitting on Jimmy Graham went early, very, very early.
That for some reason.
And then hitting Jimmy Graham when he came off his injury last year.
For some reason, I feel like you are like the tight end whisperer. I'm not joking. Like...
I've seen this. Very, very
I've seen this over the years. It's a strange thing in a way. Like,
and I got Kelsey.
Early.
I got Kelsey.
Graham, you beat me out. I remember this auction draft very well. This was like I had my Jimmy Graham bid for $1, thinking I'm sneaking in for $1, and there comes Jeff. I'm like, how do you know this? Why do you even know about Jimmy Graham at this point? But no, you've been pretty good on tight ends, and so
we'll find out who I think the young guy is
now because I'm going to steal him because.
You're right.
If there's one position, you've been pretty good here.
I've been very, very. I've been voicing my opinion on it, and you will find out. He comes with a lot of risk still, but you will find out that Hunter Henry has a lot of my love. But there are guys that can definitely jump up this year.
Yep.
I know that we talked about how after a certain point they're all kind of the same, which is true when you look at it statistically.
To me, that point is about 6th. I'm going to say.
But there are a few guys that have really high upside, and those are the
Yep.
kind of guys that you're going to want to snatch up. And you can wait longer, too, if you do that strategy. So this is actually a very important aspect to look at, even though tight end isn't necessarily as glamorous as a wide receiver, running back situation.
Yep. Number 2, both have Travis Kelce, right?
Yep, Travis Kelce.
He's very good. He really.
Can you imagine if his touchdowns jump up at all?
That is the big thing with him. If he gets the touchdowns, he's going to challenge Gronk for number 1. 85 catches, over 1,100 yards. He only had 4 touchdowns. That's the only.
Yeah.
But
the guy's awesome.
Is that because it's Alex Smith and that kind of that passing offense just doesn't quite live up to some of the others? That might be it.
I think his numbers. I think his receiving will stay approximately the same. I think his touchdowns will jump up. I think they finally realized who their true weapons are. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe that Macklin is going to make a drastic comeback, and you have to, unless you think Tyreek Hill is going to soak up everything, which I don't.
No.
I think Travis Kelce is going to get a huge workload like he did last year, and I think he's going to get more touchdowns because I can't imagine a 1,100-yard receiving tight end only getting 4 touchdowns. I think that was low, and I think that's going to increase.
Yep, I can see it increasing, but you know what? It doesn't even need to. If it didn't increase, he's still there for me. That's just how consistent he was, and you need consistency at tight end.
Yeah.
And if you can get something like that, I'm fine with it if it doesn't increase. I think it will, but if it doesn't, I'm taking.
Exactly. And I think that's the reason I have him ranked over a couple of these other guys right below him, even if those guys stay healthy.
And he's going to be interesting in these drafts. I think a lot of people are on to Kelce at this point, but it's going to be interesting to see where in an auction draft what value that puts him at. I'm going to be watching it. Again, I don't like to go crazy with tight end, but if it's cheap enough, I will. I don't think it'll be cheap enough for me personally, but
I think he's going to be in the 15 to 20
I'll say
range.
if it stays under 15, it also actually it depends on at that point if I have more of my team put together and what I need and where I'm at. But I will at least consider it because I think he's definitely out of my top 4. I have he's the most sure thing. He's the surest thing on this list, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
100% the surest thing.
I think there's one other guy that is very, very consistent that you could get, but I think Kelce has way more upside to him than the other guy that we'll get to in a few picks, actually.
All right, number 3. I went with Jordan Reed, and I basically went with Jordan Reed because of his talent and his potential. Yes, injury risk is there. He could get a concussion and be done. He could be out of the NFL. It's possible. And if it came down to a draft, I might be hesitant to get him at this point because of the injury risk. I might even drop him in my ranks if we get closer to the season. If he's sitting out practice every once in a while, I might drop him. But for right now, he's still my 3rd. Where do you got him?
I had him at number 12.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Okay. I know. And if you would have said that, I would have been like, okay.
No. I ranked him as if he was going to be healthy as well, and he's number 3 on mine as well.
But if you would have said that, I would have been like, okay, yeah, I get it.
I just wanted to see how quickly you would react to that.
No, I didn't find it crazy. That's the weird thing because you know what? He is like if you think of injury risk in your head at tight, you almost think of Reed more than you think of Gronk in a way. Like they're both right there injury risk wise.
Yeah. And Reed is actually. He worries me more, actually.
He worries me more because his has been a lot of concussion stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's where I get really worried.
Yeah, very, very squeamish about that. With Gronk...
It's been different. It's not really
his back is all sort of... his body's kind of falling apart. He takes a lot of hits. But, Reed has... he really is an incredible tight end talent. But the fact is he's never been able to stay on the
He doesn't play
field.
16 games.
No, never. So, even if you draft... I'm trying to think how many games you have to play to really make that number 3 work. I might drop him, but even if I drop him, he would still be worth it if he only played 13 games. So if he missed 3, he really is that big of a difference. I mean, he really is something special.
Out of my list, he easily could drop though. I can see myself dropping him quite a bit just to get more consistency there. That's where I might do that. I like consistency at tight end, and he worries me because I will not pay for Jordan Reed anything because I'm worried about the risk, but talent-wise, he has to be there.
Yeah.
So we're the same on the top 3. So maybe I think we'll start to differ here.
I don't. Well, maybe really?
maybe not. Maybe,
maybe I don't think we will. I thought we would go at least 4.
No, I think we differ.
All right. Who do you have at number 4?
Unless I have, at least I'm reading you wrong here. I'm going with Eifert, and you're going with Olsen.
Yeah, I'm going Olsen.
See, yeah.
Yeah, you are high on Eifert. I forgot about that. Which Go ahead and do your spiel about Eifert because the guy is an absolute
That's why
beast.
I'm saying my top 4, at this point of the year, it's May. I went with an injury risk top 4, except for Kelsey. And that's where Tyler Eifert, this is why I have him here. If there's going to be somebody I think that's going to jump up to this top tier, other than, I think Kelsey's already there, it's going to be Eifert. But he can't get healthy. The guy can't get healthy. But the thing is, if he catches touchdowns. That's where he belongs up here. I don't know if he's not going to get as many catches as Kelsey. He's probably not going to get as many yards as Kelsey, but he's going to get a lot more touchdowns than Kelsey. In the last 2 seasons, 21 games, he has 18 touchdowns.
It's a stupid number.
That's what it is. It's all about touchdowns for me because he has a lot of people around him are going to catch balls probably. But if this guy can stay healthy, he's going to be there. At this point, this is more of a potential pick. I usually don't go too crazy with it. I put him 4, but I can get him for nothing, I think, and I'll be happy with it. Hopefully I can get him for
we'll
nothing.
see. I think he's starting to gain a lot of steam because if he comes out and he says he's healthy, it doesn't take a genius to look at his stats and say, even like just looking at last year, you're like, all right, he played in, I believe, 8 games, one of which he got hurt again, so he had like 1 catch for 9 yards. But I mean, he had 102 yards, 96 yards, 68, and within that he also had 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
So he played minimal and banged up, got hurt again.
He just seems to get the ball in the end zone. So
when a tight end can put up 100 yards and a touchdown in a game, he's something special. And the guy is huge too.
Yep.
I mean, he's such a big target, and with AJ Green in there, and now he's just such a wonderful weapon. They're going to use the crap out of him in the red zone.
Yep.
So I totally understand. He could be that guy.
Where do you have him ranked?
I have him at number 7.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. He has.
I went consistency over the flash in the pan.
And out of all the ranks, I always go consistency. For some reason, I switched up at tight end. I don't know why.
He's a scary good talent, and I think people will draft higher on him because if he does end up being healthy, he's going to be a difference maker.
All right, you had Olsen 4th. I had him 5th.
Yeah.
My worry with Olsen is weeks 8 through 17 last year. That is my worry with him.
I get that.
And he started the year, his first 6 weeks, he was just tearing it up.
Yeah, he kills it.
He was amazing. And then starting week after the bye week, he came back. He had 6 catches twice in those final games. That's it. He had
only 1 touchdown.
Only 1 touchdown. He had no games over 87 yards. I'm not even worried about the yards as much. He had 87, 85, but then there was everything other than those 2 at 80 were below 60. That's a lot of games right there. That's how many games at 2 4? That's 10 games, and he only had, and 8 of his last 10 games were below 60 yards. 8 of his last 10 games were 5 catches or less, and he had 1 touchdown in 10 games. That's my worry, I guess. I did rank Cam to have a little bit of a bounce back, so I'm thinking I think it's the offense. I think once they hit that week, that bye week 7, it was more of wasn't a turnaround for the team. They kind of realized, we're done.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
And we want to talk about consistency. This is Mr. Consistency in the tight end position because he's been doing it for years now. And just to put it into perspective, he only had 3 touchdowns receiving last year, and he still ranks number 2 overall in the tight end.
It was because
he puts up decent numbers for yards.
But that almost shows.
So if that bounces back at all, this guy is. He's almost a guaranteed top 5 tight end. Other guys have higher ceilings than he does.
Yeah, and that. I worry about those final 10 weeks, but you can easily just go and say, hey, the Panthers were terrible. They gave up early. It was, Cam wasn't healthy. All that. And it's all probably true. It's a good reason. So that's, the tight end position isn't very deep for top guys. So he's going to be there. And consensus wise, you're right on consensus actually. Gronk, Kelsey, Reed, Olsen are the top 4. And those are the top 4.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's exactly the top 4. Eifert then jumps in at 5th. But who is your 5th? Because it's not Eifert.
Nope. And
it's
I went
Jimmy
with
Graham.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham.
And Jimmy Graham's my 6th.
Okay. And I love Jimmy Graham. He did very, very well last year. I don't see any. And if we think Russell Wilson's going to jump back a little bit, I think Jimmy Graham's touchdowns can go up. We all know how well he can navigate in the red zone. It's really just staying healthy and getting enough targets in that offense is really the only thing you have to worry about at all.
And was he? I don't even know if he was fully back last year, health-wise. That was an injury.
He was still recovering a bit at the beginning of last year.
Most people don't come back even from the injury he had. No one's come back and actually play like what he did.
And that's because I got him for nothing because everyone was writing him off because they really thought the injury was the end of his career almost, and going to Seattle. But
he's going to be solid.
Yeah, it's just a very good tight end,
and he is consensus wise number 6. So I mean, it's pretty consistent there with where we have the guys and where the consensus does, because they are. This is who the top players pretty much are. It's pretty clear. So number 6 for you then, because you don't have Eifert there. Who'd you go with?
I went Delaney Walker.
All right, I can see that too. Another consistent guy for the most part.
Yeah, just very. You know what you're getting. Very good. We think that offense is going to be a little bit better this year. He's just very solid.
Yep. When we went over the AFC South preview with Tennessee, we talked about this a little bit more in depth, how 2015 was just such, I think, an outlier on his overall stats for catches and yards. I don't think he'll ever go back to that. But the other years around that have all been solid, and he's a good back-end tight end 1 option. So I think he's going to be consistent there.
Yeah, and he catches about a touchdown every 2 games.
And who knows, maybe it could go. The offense is going to be better. But there is more people to throw the ball to, I guess, now. But still, it's going to be a better offense with Corey Davis, Shard Matthews.
Yeah, you think he could probably, slip away and they're going to lose track of him a little bit?
And I don't think he's going to have some crazy numbers all the time, but I think he's going to be consistent enough, and he's not going to hurt you. But most tight ends, you are going to have a dud week from a tight end. It's going to happen. He might give you one of those, but it's going to be a lot less than some of the other guys.
If you're looking for consistency, Delaney Walker, Olsen, obviously Kelsey. Those are the guys that you're going to want to go with. Yep. Those guys are very, very consistent. They do get some yardage. You just won't get these breakout games like you will from perhaps a Reed, or even a Jimmy Graham can actually put up some really good numbers when he's hot.
Yep, and Walker, I have him 8th, actually. Consensus wise, I see is 7th.
Oh, perfect.
So in your 7th was Eifert. So this is where my 7th jumps in, and it's Zach Ertz.
I like Ertz. I have him number 10.
Okay, he's kind of my target, I guess, for tight end this year, I guess you'd say.
I think he's going to fly under the radar quite a bit.
Yeah, I really think he ended the year well. I think Wentz is going to possibly make a jump a little bit. I think they have Alshon out there. They have a little better passing offense. I'm not going to say I don't have him jumping up to be in this top level yet, but I think he's going to be. He can be one of those consistent guys too. That's where.
What's interesting about Ertz too is he finished number 8 overall, and he started the season hurt and very, very slow. And the last 5 weeks, his pointage, and this is however ESPN had it in this one, but 14 points, 11.2, 8, 3, and then 26 points. So the last 5 weeks he was incredible.
He was great. It starts in week 13. If you take away week 16, he did nothing. But week 13, 9 catches, 79 yards. Week 14, 10 catches, 112. Week 15, 6 catches, 80 yards. He had a terrible week 16, but then week 17, 13 catches, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I really think week 1 through 8 he was injured, and then he was getting healthy again.
Yeah, and then he played week 1. He had a good start, 6 catches. I mean, that's 58 yards. You're okay if that's the floor for your tight end. If I have my tight end and he goes 6 for 58, but that's his worst, that's as bad as it gets. Fine, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Then he obviously was hurt. Yeah, he came back after the bye week. Wasn't quite right. He finally came. About week 8 is where he finally came back, and his catches were solid after that. 4, 8, 8, 6, 6, whatever. He was just right there. Decent yardage. And then the end of the year, he really stepped up. So maybe he finally got a connection there with Wentz. I'm going to take a chance on Ertz. He's going to probably be my target in most leagues, I think. I think you can get him for pretty much nothing. We showed in our mock, we went with between Ertz and Henry. We ended up going with Henry. But Ertz was sitting there. I don't even think he was drafted in our mock draft.
Yeah, he's not getting a lot of hype either. He's going to really flow under the radar. And the only thing I don't like about Hunter Henry is I think he's going to have that buzz about him. Yeah. Assuming Gase is gone and how well he did last year.
Yeah, I hope Ertz kind of sits there and I can get him for $1. Maybe I'll go 2. Maybe I'll splurge in an auction. But who is then number 8 for you?
Number 8, I really wanted him to be higher, but this is where I put Hunter Henry.
And Hunter Henry then is my 10th. So I still have him top 10.
And this is the guy, if I'm going to go out and get one, especially not pay for one, Hunter Henry is absolutely the guy. And I might have to wait a few weeks on him. That's my only hesitation. That's why he's at number 8. because Gates is still there, and he's going after.
Wish Gates wasn't there.
Yeah, and he's going after a record. He needs one more touchdown to break the record. I think he's holding on. He's old as hell. I can't believe he's still playing. Still has some value for a touchdown guy, but Hunter Henry is only in his second year as well, so he's still incredibly young.
He only had 36 catches, but he had 8 touchdowns.
The guy is tall. He's athletic. He really does look like just a giant wide receiver out there.
Yep.
And there's no possible way, if everyone is healthy on that Chargers offense, there's no way you can cover everyone. And I guarantee that Hunter Henry is not going to rank as high as, a Mike Williams, a Keenan Allen, or anything like that. So he's going to have great matchups.
The numbers, if you look at his actual catches yards, they're not going to look impressive. But that doesn't matter to me. The touchdowns matter, and most rookie tight ends don't even do what he did.
No, exactly.
Tight ends aren't good
he was
right away.
The second tight end.
Yeah, they're not good to start. They're really not. There's not many tight ends that have been amazing their first year. It just doesn't happen.
No, and to kind of give you why I love the guy so much as well, Hunter Henry finished as the 11th overall tight end last year.
It's all about his touchdowns.
Yeah, and he just went bonkers. When they actually gave him the opportunity to catch balls, I feel like he disappeared at times because they really went heavy towards Gates. In the middle of the year, he went through a phase where he only had 1 catch for 16 yards, 2 catches for 14, didn't get 1 catch, and then came back and started having a few catches with touchdowns. But when they're throwing it to him early in the year, he had a stretch where he went 72 yards, 61 yards in a touchdown, 74 yards in a touchdown, 83 yards in a touchdown. Those were 4 games in a row when they were targeting him. The guy, his ceiling is incredibly high. So this is the guy I'm going to be going after very, very heavily.
And a lot of times with receivers and such, touchdowns to me can be very, very variable. They can go up and down. I feel like tight ends are more consistent. If you're getting touchdowns, you're getting them in the red zone, and you're being targeted for a reason.
Yeah,
I think they stay more consistent, and it's no fluke that he had 8. It's going to keep happening.
And what I love about this too, and I totally agree with you, you look at Rivers and how he operates. He's not going to change his game. The Chargers haven't changed their game, and Gates is going for the all-time record as a tight end for touchdowns.
Yeah.
You think that they like throwing it to them?
They do.
Yeah, hell yeah, they do.
And they're going to keep going. I feel like those touchdowns are going to stay. And if the receptions come up and the yards come up, which they should, it's just going to be even better.
Yeah, I think this guy is going to be a dynamo.
All right, so we've gone through our top 8. Let's see, my 10th and your 10th. And
who was your 8?
My 8 was Delaney Walker.
Oh, okay.
My 10th was Hunter Henry. Your 10th was Eifert, right?
Zach Ertz.
Or yeah. And you had Eifert 7th.
Who's your number 9?
Kyle Rudolph.
Oh, mine too.
Okay.
This is a guy I had to put in the top 10 even though I didn't want to.
No, me too. And I put him there, and I actually jumped him up just earlier today. I actually had him 11th, and I kind of looking at his stats. I'm like, you know what?
He had a sneaky good year last year.
He should be a little higher. 83 catches, 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. Again, touchdowns. That's Bradford's looking for him there. Bradford's we went over that in the quarterback show.
He doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns. When he does, he throws to Rudolph.
He throws him to Rudolph, but he's very accurate. So he's going to look for Rudolph there. And this is kind of more about like a tight end. This is the tight end I can't even speak. This is how a tight end, we talked about Henry. No one does it that well as a rookie. This is Rudolph's in his 4th year, and he finally just jumped. That's kind of what a tight end does. And I think what we saw last year is probably what we'll see again. I don't think he's going to be... I don't know if it'll be better than this. I don't really expect that. But if he puts up these numbers again, he should be a top 10 guy.
I know. No, what scares me about this, though, is Kyle Rudolph was the number 3 overall tight end, and I have him at number 9 begrudgingly.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guy, and I guarantee someone will like him, so I'm not too worried about that. But he's going to be a guy that I will pass up continuously, and I have a feeling I'm going to pay for it eventually. Because... Honestly, I don't know why. I just have this mental block against him.
I don't think he's going to go for anything in an auction. I don't see it.
No, but I don't think a lot of these guys will. I think
someone
will pay more than me. Like he'll go for $2, and I'll be thankful he's off the board. But really, secretly, I'm probably I'll end up getting someone farther down the list as a backup or something that I could have had him.
Yeah, and there's some other guys that'll be fine down there. And some of it too with Rudolph is just the offense overall doesn't excite us. I mean, it seems like it should be better when we talked about all the people they actually have on the team there and the potential for it. But it just I don't know. It might be the play calling, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's not exciting, but
I think it's very possible that he's going to repeat last year's stats, which were good.
Yes,
I just think that's the best case scenario for him.
But if that's what he does, that's fine. If he stays healthy and that's what he does, you can get a lot worse than that. Like that's just fine. And he's consensus. He's 8th actually.
Wow, no one has love for the guy. It's unbelievable.
All right, here we go. Number 11.
Yep.
Martellus Bennett.
Me too.
Okay. And this is kind of don't really know what to expect. It's basically he's the Green Bay tight end, and he's more talented than they've had. Obviously, look at Jared Cook finally did at the end of last year. When you have somebody who has talent and can, do something. But he's an interesting player too to me.
I think people are going to jump him up.
Yeah.
But I want you to remember when they had Jermichael Finley.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have this great year.
No,
Green Bay is a great passing offense.
It's weird.
But
Green Bay.
Tight ends have never really flourished.
And they haven't. And it always feels like we always think they're going to.
Yeah. And we always overproject for him.
We do. And Bennett, he had a great year in Chicago 2014. He had 90 catches, 900 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That's about where he's at. He had some solid years there. Last year, obviously, it's hard to say with New England. He wasn't the starter all the time, but he had 55 catches, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. But it's New England. It's a different team. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be good in Green Bay. It's hard to say.
Are those touchdowns going to go to him though?
Yeah, exactly. See,
Jordy,
Rodgers
Adams,
doesn't care.
Everyone's soaking him up.
Rodgers isn't targeting one guy, and Brady didn't either. But this is the kind of offenses where, we talked about some of those other guys. They're looking for those tight ends in the end zone. This isn't that offense. If he's open, he'll get it. But if he's not, he won't. Yeah. He has big upside here where we have him ranked though.
He does have big upside.
He could be one of those top guys. It's not. I wouldn't doubt it. If you told me Bennett ended the year as a top 3 tight end, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can't rank him that way, and I think he will go for more money. I think than the 4 guys we have ahead of him.
And also, okay, so Martellus Bennett was ranked number 7 overall, and that's in New England offense who very easily uses 2 tight ends all the time, and Gronk was hurt a lot.
7th overall last year. That shows it's tight. It's touchdowns.
Yes, touchdown dependent.
Touchdowns put him there.
So, and then just scrolling down, who was Cook? Cook came on late to the Green Bay, right? So that's not going to be a fair.
He was hurt
assessment.
Really, I think a lot of it. He stepped up in the playoffs too.
Yeah,
that's where Cook stepped up.
So he was hurt the majority of the year, but he didn't. He had one touchdown. Yeah. The entire Green Bay, and he probably played 8 games or so, but still 1 touchdown in 8 games.
Yep.
So even if, say, he went crazy in those other ones, you end up with what, maybe 4. So Green Bay does not look for that.
Green Bay has a lot of these little plays they have designed for wide receivers in the end zone. They don't have anything looking for the tight ends. It's looking for Jordy or Adams or they have a lot of those type of things.
Yeah. So don't get caught up in the hype. I know Martellus Bennett is a very good athlete. He's a good tight end. And he does have upside, but I would go other places. I think people get too caught up thinking that Green Bay throws touchdowns to everyone. It's really just the wide receivers.
Pretty much. In consensus, he's 9th. People aren't going crazy with it, which is good, but it's kind of...
Well, what's his highest rank?
His highest is 5th.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little much for me, but it's not crazy. I'm not I can see, because if you told me he finished 5th, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I'm not drafting him that way. I'll draft him if I could draft him as the 11th guy. If he's a guy who went for $1 or $2 in an auction, I will gladly take him. I don't know if he will. I feel like he's going to go for even $5, which to me is, I don't want to do that.
No, yeah.
Number 12. This is where I don't know. How many tight ends did you end up ranking?
I did 20.
Okay.
But yeah, it gets really dicey.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, it gets really dicey down here. I have a few of my favorites or whatever, but I probably get to number 12 where I feel pretty confident, and then after that, I'm you're really guessing because either they were hurt or on a new offense or a rookie.
And that's where this is the point. I feel like this is where my next tier starts. This is kind of where my guy. I don't know. My number 12 is Jack Doyle.
Okay, I have Jack Doyle at 17.
See, and it's
just
it's more of
he's okay.
He's the main tight end with Andrew Luck as a quarterback. I don't know for sure he's going to do it. I think he has a chance. He's a $1 tight end you get. I think
he might jump up. When we got to this low, I think I leaned a little closer to upside potential. So I did go Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
I really do think he has, out of the next guys, he has definitely the most potential to jump up to that next tier. He definitely, because he could easily catch 8 touchdowns if they decided to use him accordingly, and if he decides to stop dropping balls.
And I put him 13th. And this could be, again, that tight end that, he's kind of okay, and then he finally has a little bit of a jump. This could be that year for him. He's only 24 years old.
Yeah, incredibly young.
This is
Very,
where
very athletic.
I could see the jump. I mean, really, his catches, if you look at what he's done the last few years, went from 25 catches to 47 catches to 61 catches. His yards went from 248 to 537 to 711. Didn't get any touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
That was where it went
What,
down.
he had one touchdown?
One touchdown. Is the year before he had 5.
And he missed 4 games last year, too.
But if you look at everything else, it's starting to go up. It's going up. It's kind of like what these tight ends do.
Yep, the yardage is big.
Yeah, if you were going to tell me if there's one guy down here that has the potential to really jump up, Ebron, to me, he stands out to me as the guy who, if you told me, okay, after 12, between 12 and whatever, there's one guy that jumped up and became a top tight end. I think it's Ebron. If you take away the rookies obviously could. But a veteran tight end, Ebron's to me the guy.
Even with the rookies, I think Eric Ebron. I mean, you look at and he. This is why I do have O.J. Howard and Njoku and the top 20. But the reason I feel like they're overhyping O.J. Howard, especially because I feel like he's going to be relatively high. He is an absolute freak. He's a great tight end in college. He has all the skills you need. But the jump in tight end is so difficult to make, especially with blocking and everything like that it always takes a few years. I mean, even remember back in the day when Vernon Davis was the man?
Yeah.
He didn't really come on for 3 years.
And he was a first-round pick.
He was a top 10 pick.
Yeah, and Ebron was a first-round pick, too.
Yeah, he was a top 10 pick as well, yeah.
There's not many... I think it happens eventually. I really do.
Yeah, I do, too. I think it kind of it clicks in, and you've seen Ebron, because everyone kind of kept him on their radar because he is such a freak athlete, which a lot of these tight ends are. But in this offense, I think he could really, really flourish this year. And like I said, the touchdowns are the only thing that's holding him back, and you realize that's a big only. But at the same time, going from 1 to 5 is not a big deal, and just 5 touchdowns would rocket him into the top 10.
Yep.
And then, obviously, the sky's the limit if he really figures out and he stays healthy.
And consensus-wise, he's 12th. So other people are kind of he's that's where he's at. He was my 13th. Your 12th. Your 13th was
O.J. Howard. Actually,
O.J. Howard's my 14th. And
once again,
extremely talented player.
Yeah, I worry because he's a rookie. I just went over why I don't believe he's going to do that well.
I think at this point, if you get him at like the 13th, 14th guy, you're not taking any risk whatsoever.
Yeah, don't pay for him.
Exactly. Right? If you get him here at $1 in an auction, or you get him at the end of a draft, if you actually get him as the 14th best tight end, it's no risk. If you get him as O.J. Howard, he might have
someone's going to draft him a little higher thinking. And he's in a great position for him. Tell you the truth, I don't know. I do worry about him, but he is in such a great position that I had to put him there because they're definitely going to use him. But they still have Cameron Brate, and Cameron Brate was very serviceable. So, he's going to have a learning curve, and I think the first few weeks you're probably not going to see him a whole lot.
Yeah. So he was my 14th, your 13th, your 14th.
Kobe Fleener.
Kobe Fleener is my 15th.
I'm really just thinking that maybe because Cooks left, a few of those passes could go his way. I'm not a huge fan of Kobe Fleener.
No, I'm not either. It's a very prolific passing offense,
yeah.
And he's going to have a week or two where he's going to be very good. I don't know if it's ever going to quite click for him. It doesn't seem like it is. But again, we talk about tight ends, and they come on eventually. A lot of times, maybe it is. Maybe he's one of them that does. I'm not drafting him like it is, but 15th, I can need 14th for you. He's going to have some good weeks. He's also going to have he's going to have 0 catch week.
Yeah, he's going to be very, very up and down.
All right, 15th then for you.
15th is David Njoku for me.
Njoku. I put Njoku. He did make my top 20. He's 20th.
Okay.
It's kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah, I realize I'm talking all this crap about rookies and how long it takes them to. I think Njoku has a legitimate shot. If the rest of them, I like Ebron the most, and I do think O.J. Howard will probably be better than him. But I think Njoku has an interesting opportunity to be relevant this year because I think they might just use him as a giant wide receiver, which is a whole different position than learning how to block and everything like that. Yep. So I think if they throw him into the fire and they truly use him specifically as a wide receiver, like they could easily, because, I mean, who is Britt's number 2? I mean, this guy is very, very athletic, great after the catch. I think he could have some really big games that will put him higher than he should be, because I think it's going to be feast or famine. But I think he's going to have some really big games.
And again, at this point, you're not taking a risk to get him. So why not take a guy with a lot of upside? And if he first couple weeks he looks terrible, he's not doing anything yet, all right, drop him. Get one of the other guys around here.
He's one of those guys that I could push up my board, depending on what I hear about him and how they decide to use him. It's going to be really, really big.
Yeah. So that was 15th for you? Yeah. Is that where we're at? All right. And then my 15th was Fleener. So 16th for me, C.J. Fedorowicz.
Actually, I really like Fedorowicz, but he didn't make my top 20,
and he barely made my top. It's just,
I do like him, but I'm still waiting on that offense to come around.
Exactly, and we don't quite know the quarterback situation. It's just he should be a decently solid player. It kind of at this point, you can go a C.J. Fedorowicz way where he's going to get you 6 points, or you go for that upside. You can go either way. Mm-hmm. He's the guy you get after Njoku doesn't work out. Exactly. And you just get I just go conservative. This is nothing exciting for Fedorowicz. I don't think he's going. He's down at 16th. He's not going to be amazing. He's going to get 60 catches for 600 yards and maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Right.
That's about what he's at. So 16th. Who was your 16th?
The tried and true Jason Witten.
Jason Witten didn't make my top 20 just because I'm just bored by Jason Witten.
Yeah,
I guess. But again, he's consistent. He's going to be the guy you get. If you want to go that route and get just a consistent tight end, you get Jason Witten.
He's not going to catch a whole lot of touchdowns. He'll have a good amount of yards.
He won't be as good as he was with Romo. If Romo was still around in the quarterback, he looked for Witten a lot more. And obviously, he's been around forever now.
Yeah, and Jason Witten, I mean, he still was 14th last year. So I dropped him a little bit. I think he's just aging out of the position a little bit, but
he's become that 60 and 600 guy I'm talking about. 69 catches, 673 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's that guy. Right. Those are when you find these type of numbers.
Exactly.
Those quarterbacks or those tight ends. That's what they are. So that was 16th for you. 17th. I put Jared Cook at 17th.
Okay, I have Jared Cook at number 20.
Okay.
He was somewhat relevant in Green Bay.
But he's fooled us many times.
He's burnt us so many times.
We see the talent, but not at this point. He's 30 years old.
Yeah, and the only reason I do have him in the top 20 because he's on Oakland. He has a good opportunity to still do something, but kind of fool me once, fool me twice kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why he's number 20 for me.
Yep, and he did look really good in that playoff run. He showed.
He's also with Aaron Rodgers, so.
Yeah, exactly. And
as much as I love Derek Carr, he's not Aaron Rodgers.
No, and it's not a big risk to take him. So 17th for you
was Jack Doyle.
All right. 18th, I went with Cameron Brate. Did make my top 20 as well as O.J. Howard.
Yeah, Cameron Brate made mine as well as number 19.
Okay, and this is kind of hedging my bet on O.J. Howard. If O.J. Howard doesn't jump up, it isn't the main guy. I think Brate will be solid yet again.
Yeah,
and we don't know what that offense is quite going to look like and how they're going to use those tight ends. But he was a very good player last year, and Winston seemed to like him. We obviously we don't know how good O.J. Howard will be as a rookie tight end, so I'm going to kind of put him there.
It's kind of funny. Cameron Brate finished the year as the number 6th tight end, and notice that a lot of these are bunched in.
He got the touchdowns
exactly.
So if 57 catches for 660 yards.
Exactly. So if O.J. Howard soaks up some of those touchdowns, that's why I think he's going to drop off.
Yeah, see, he's the 660 and 600 guy that gets the touchdowns. That's where you jump up.
Exactly.
So I kind of made up this little thing on the spot, and it seems to be working. But I don't know if the touchdowns stay the same. I still think they will. Jameis, he found a target he likes in the red zone. I don't know if we'll see once training camp hits and we really see how O.J. Howard's fitting in. And we, hear all the rumors. Who knows? They'll probably say, "Oh, he's amazing." That's what we'll probably hear. But wait till you actually see it in action. And I don't even know. We really won't know until week 1. That's the problem with this. You're not going to know how this is going to turn out. But Brate was solid, very solid. So it's actually kind of surprising when you see how how he was there. They must have really liked O.J. Howard quite a bit to make that the pick. If they already had a pretty solid tight end, but. Did we go over your 18th?
And nope, my 18th is the last one we haven't talked about, and people are probably going to hate this one, but it's Antonio Gates.
Okay.
And the reason I did that is because...
Touchdowns.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. Touchdowns. And he's still playing. I can't deny that, I don't think he's going to go away entirely. Him and Hunter Henry were back-to-back last year, 10 and 11, and Antonio Gates was number 10.
Yeah.
So, to think that he's going to drop 8 spots, and, you see, touchdowns are king for tight ends, and he's going after the record. I think at least the first half of the season he's still going to be relevant, and I think Hunter Henry will take over, and I assume that he will probably retire after that.
This has to be his last year, right?
I believe so. I think as soon as he gets the record, it's going to be it. But I think he's still going to be relevant for the first half of the year, and I think that's good enough to put him here. I probably, I think the only way I would use him is if I get desperate and I can stream him or pick him up for the first 4 games and then find a way to move on from him.
Yep. And I don't have him in my top 20, but
and that's okay too.
I can see why you would. He should be.
Every year he's always like a top 10 guy, and every year we always think that he's going to be done and blah blah blah. So
my final guy at 19, who we didn't talk about, was Austin Hooper.
Sorry.
I've been on the Austin Hooper bandwagon.
I kept looking at him trying to figure out where to put him in. It's kind of difficult because he didn't have that great of numbers.
No. If I went higher than this, it's kind of like it's really just 100% shot in the dark. He didn't have very many catches. He didn't have
really
very
didn't
many
do anything. That's
he
the
really
funny
didn't.
part.
It's just I think he should be the main tight end on a very good offense. I saw him in the playoffs a little bit more. I really liked the way he was playing there. It's more of this is just he's kind of my gut feeling player for the year. The guy I just feel like if somebody's going to break out, could be Austin Hooper, but I'm not sure enough on this to really make a stand and put him up there, which I think would just be foolish. If people are going to try to follow these rankings and I put Austin Hooper 11th, it's just I have no basis for it. It's complete gut feeling. So on a gut feeling, I have to be a little smarter than this and kind of put him where he probably deserves. Because even 19 should be higher than where he would consensus. Okay, he's 23rd consensus wise, so I'm not even that far up. But it just if he went any higher, this it's just really just I'm kind of being a little foolish with it. So
I think he is very. I do. He has all of the makings of a guy that would jump up.
Yep.
He just didn't have enough catches where I could safely say that. Because they also have, I don't even know how to say his last name, but Toilo or whatever his name is. They also have another tight end they use.
A couple years ago, I thought he was going to be the guy that became...
And Hooper's a very big athletic guy as well, and he did show flashes in the playoffs, which is great, and he's a young guy. So he could easily jump up there, but... there's so many mouths to feed already. I don't think they're going to make a point of it. So I'm not that. I guess I'm not that inclined to put him up much higher.
Well, I think that wraps up the tight end ranks for us. We didn't go over Julius Thomas, Zach Miller, Evan Ingram, the rookie. There's other guys: Charles Clay, Dennis Pitta.
I'll give you that. Zach Miller is an interesting one, but other than that,
it's just there's some of these guys that Dwayne Allen, even at New England. If Gronk gets hurt, Dwayne Allen jumps up. But there's a lot of guys there, and honestly, a lot of them are the same once you get down past a certain point. But maybe a couple. There's probably going to be somebody that breaks out. It's just really hard to pinpoint who that somebody is because they all you could probably make a case for a lot of these guys, but somebody will. But
I think if it's me, the 2 guys were the highest on are Eifert and Henry.
Yep.
I think they have huge upsides, and then if you go down a little farther, I think Eric Ebron has a decent chance of making that jump. But
Ebron's probably that guy for me too. That played a few years now. Started year 4 now, 5? Probably I think it's year 4.
Ebron,
fourth year right now. That's about where a tight end I think could make a jump.
Well, I think his contract is. I think he's just getting done with his rookie contract.
They picked up the 5th year option. I believe.
Did they? Yeah. I was going to say. So he's probably playing for the next year's contract. So that's always a good incentive.
Kyle Rudolph made a jump in his 4th year. It kind of. Unless you're elite like Gronk and stuff, it just doesn't happen right away. Even Kelsey took him. This is year 4 for Kelsey. Well, last year was year 4 for him.
Yeah, it was.
Where he finally made the really big jump. Maybe it's a year 4 tight end jump. If Ebron does it,
year 4,
that's where I'll keep it. Unless you're, complete amazing Gronk. That's why Gronk's number 1. He's different.
Yeah, he is different.
All right, but that's it for tight ends. We'll be back with some more shows as we get past the rankings, and we'll start going. Talk about some players that maybe are a little undervalued. Probably some players that are overvalued. We'll keep going here as we get this little lull where there's just going to be all the news you're going to hear right now is just going to be people saying everyone's amazing. So it's kind of.
I always love the alerts.
Just
he's looking great. He has a burst of speed. In
just remember, if you're hearing these news, don't put too much stock into all this stuff. There's not going to be too much negative. If there is actually the negative news is probably the news you should actually concentrate on more.
Yeah,
I feel like the negative news is actually the legitimate news. All this other fluff stuff, it's just like,
because no coach is going to go negative on their players.
I mean, just in the last couple of days, Devontae Parker's amazing. Kareem Hunt's amazing. You know, they're all amazing. I think Blake Bortles is amazing now. I mean, everyone is just amazing. Trubisky is amazing.
Yeah. I always love it, too, because they always do it with rookies, and rookies are, like, playing alone by themselves right now, no pads, and they're like, he looks so fluid on the field, and they're like, well, no kidding. Like,
yeah, it's just like, don't. I know some people do put some stock into this stuff. Don't. It's just
take
it
it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, negative stuff, sure. You know, Calvin Benjamin is probably out of shape.
Probably is.
But there's still 3.5 months till the season starts. Yeah. I think he can get in shape in 3.5 months.
Yeah, and to let you guys know as well, I think this was probably a week ago already or something like that. But Eddie Lacy, he hit his necessary weight, so he got his first bonus.
Yeah.
So it's not fat Eddie Lacy this year. So I guess that's something to look forward to.
Every time he weighs in, he gets to make a few more dollars. It might keep happening. At least for this year. This year maybe. Next year.
Right.
Sure. Because 1 year I think he could be decently in shape. So, all right, we'll have plenty more for you guys in the coming weeks. And if there is actually some real news that breaks, we'll put it on, onto the Twitter account. Which right now there's just not a lot of real news to talk about. So I think the last thing actually on there is Josh Doxson looks amazing too. Forgot about that. That's on there too. Everyone's amazing.
Everyone is amazing.
All right, we'll talk to you guys next week.